Yo, everybody, this is Jocelyn, 1/5 of The Last Disciples. You are about to listen to the very first episode 1 of the Good Life podcast, man. This is something that we've been working on for a long time. I couldn't be a part of the first episode. The rest of The Last Disciples are on this episode. I'll be a part of the episodes from here on out. These are my people. I love them. I ride with them. So without further ado, please take a listen. Tune in. Let us know what you think. And I'll be on the next one. The Good Life.
Welcome to The Good Life with The Last Disciples, where we speak freely, think critically, and live authentically. Y'all ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Here we
let's
go.
do it.
I'm Jaleesa.
I'm Ryan.
I'm Bobby.
And I'm Eric.
And this is episode 1. Welcome to The Good Life, y'all.
Hey.
How y'all feel?
Hey.
Pretty good. Pretty
Feeling
excited.
good. Feeling great. How are you?
Episode 1.
Let's get it.
But before we get started, we thought we'd talk about how this all came about. So, Bobby, take it away.
The Good Life podcast is all about providing a safe space for individuals, no matter what background, to speak, think, and live through faith in Jesus Christ.
No topic is off limits. Well, maybe politics, but we will talk about a variety of things, including current events, pop culture, religion, relationships, also life, and the best ways to deal with it. We'll also joke around, of course, have some great guests, and it's going to be dope.
We also want to hear from you. So hit us up at thelastdisciples@gmail.com. That's THEE lastdisciples@gmail.com, and submit your questions on anything, and we'll respond to you or the name anonymously on air.
Yeah, and each month we'll have 3 segments: the rundown, live letters, and the heart of the matter. On tonight's podcast, we're going to give you some background information on these 3 segments.
So let's get started with the rundown. So what's going on, y'all? What's up?
Nothing. Chilling. I got my organ ready.
Awesome. You know, we couldn't have you without the organ.
So for those of you that don't know, Eric is a amazing musician that does organ, piano. What else you do, E?
Saxophone, vocals.
Yeah, you
That's
can't
it.
forget vocals. Runs. It's not vocals, it's just runs.
That's real, though. Eric's this dude good run. Really good run.
That was so much shade right there.
But they're good. And no shade, it's good. I'm
take
jealous.
it.
I mean,
I'll take it.
if I could, I wouldn't have been an usher growing up, you know?
Oh, this is great, yo.
But that's real, though. That's real. You got it.
We
Yeah.
can't all be talented with the gifts.
Yeah.
Other than Eric's many runs, what else is up with y'all?
So I started playing basketball again up in, this Manhattan league, neighborhood called Chelsea. So the last time I played was 3 years ago at Morehouse's intramural league.
Oh.
And so I'm still kind of in shape, feeling good in terms of just because of lifting weights and stuff. But man, my touch running full speed, you think it's the same layup? It's not. It's not. You got to get used to that speed. That touch is all off. But if it's a half court set, I'm still feeling it, still feeling good. So that's like one of the most exciting new things going on with me.
Gotta perfect that finger roll.
Yeah.
The only reason I know what the heck he's talking about is because basketball is my favorite sport. But if he was talking about football, I wouldn't know what the heck you were talking about.
Basketball is the way to go. Dang.
But I do have a praise report, y'all. Remember 2 weeks ago, Eric, you weren't on the call, shade. Remember 2 weeks ago when I told y'all
Listeners, just so you know, Eric plays liable to do that.
Eric plays live, right? So remember 2 weeks ago I told y'all I moved into my new place and have yet to receive my deposit.
Oh, yeah.
Well, bless God, I've received my deposit back. When I tell you, when I got that envelope in the mail, I kissed that envelope, ran upstairs, did a Michael Jackson moonwalk. Like I was shouting right in my house because that was a grand. I was missing out of my pocket, and I was wondering where it was. But look at that.
It had a comma? It had a comma?
It had a comma.
Okay.
Yeah,
Notes and commas.
That's a
Right.
serious, that's a serious.
As Madu Future said.
Oh, Future? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's real though. $1,000 deposit. That's no joke.
That's no joke.
Yeah,
But
and it's not in your salary. It's just an additional money. That's
that
big.
I need, and also they still owe me money because they tried to overcharge me, and so I had to click and get wrecked with them and say, because they tried to say that my apartment was messed up. So luckily I had they were like,
you had parties.
No. Well, so they tried to say my apartment was messed up, but thank God I had pictures, you know what I'm saying? So when they were like, oh, your bathroom's messed up, your this is messed up, like I was like, attached you will find the bathroom, the oven.
Attached.
Attached. And they were like, oh, well, we'll take that charge off. I was like, oh, yeah, you will. So I'm waiting on.
Hold on. Why did you have pictures?
Well, my mom always
was renting rooms?
No, my mom always told me that when you leave an apartment, take pictures because it's happened to her
True.
a long time ago where they will, try to say something is broken or you've messed up something and you didn't. And if you have no pictures, you can't prove it. So it's best to always, after you clean the apartment, to take pictures, like just to make sure, that you're on the up and up. So
Wisdom.
True. Mama knows.
Mama knows. Shout out to Mom. Shout out to you, Mom. I know you listen.
Hey.
Holla.
Miami, Florida, right?
Oh, 305 all day. What you talking about? 305. Trick Daddy Trina. I see y'all. What's up?
That BB ride.
You right. That BB riding and.
That's good. Good stuff though. Glad you finally got that.
Yeah, me too, man.
Yeah.
So today, y'all know we have 3 services, Cascade, and so I'm done after the third one. But today, one of my fellow assistant pastors invited me to this youth event that was going on in the community. So I don't know if y'all had this in y'all neighborhood growing up, but here in Atlanta, they did this in Louisville too. They have like this community track league. And so they get kids from middle school and high school to run, and like it's a way of bonding, and it helps them like grow in like life skills and like helps them with their classes and academics, and it's this summer bonding experience over track. And it was so amazing, y'all. They had me choking up in there with the way that these kids had just grown to love each other and built these relationships. And they were this was the awards banquet that they were doing. So everybody looks all nice, and the kids are there and the parents are there. And it was over at the Hilton at the airport. And it was just so amazing to hear some of the testimonies. And, for me, starting to work with youth, it was just like I learned some things, but really just kind of getting to see them and hang out with them and get to know kind of the vision behind it. And like it was really, really special. One of them, I have to send y'all this. One of them was giving a testimony at the end, like 17-year-old, very, he's got his swag, very charismatic and energetic. But when he starts talking about the program and about the kids, like he started breaking down crying. And what was amazing was all of the kids, like first his sister came up on stage to like comfort him. But then the whole group of kids, it was like 20 kids came up on stage.
That's
I
beautiful.
videoed the whole thing. It was like, oh my goodness. Like, it was crazy. Yeah, I'll send y'all that. But so it was so amazing. So I was honored to be a part of that. So that was something that was really cool. Happened today.
Yeah. One thing I've been really thankful about in working with kids is just like to witness happiness and like witness things like that. It's just something that's just so powerful. That's just like, just been on the forefront of my mind lately. Like, wow, like these kids are really kicking it, enjoying themselves in a positive way, happy, when they may not have all the reasons to be happy. And so just to witness that is a blessing within itself. So definitely send that over, Bobby.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's encouraging me because I'm actually trying to start a group aimed at teenage boys and adolescent boys in the DC area to do just the same thing, different platform, but same meaning and same everything.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah, that's what's up, Bobby. That's dope. So now that we've checked in with each other for a sec, let's see what our listeners want to share with this segment called Live Letters.
You better get that club horn in there. I need a real one.
There's so many things I think I know, and other things I think I don't. But the only thing I know for sure is you'll never know if you don't try and see how it goes.
So we have some interesting questions coming in. Are we a Christian podcast? Is a question that came in. And I think is one that we should definitely discuss. So how would you all respond to that? Is this a Christian podcast?
Yes.
I'd say yeah and no. Well, yeah, let me break it down. No, I'm just teasing. Yes, and we've got a group that, we are Christians. We are followers of Jesus Christ as the group of the last disciples. Obviously, it's in our name, right? But I would say when I first hear that question, I hear, one, is this podcast exclusively for Christians? No, it's not.
Yeah.
But also I hear kind of the vibe of being churchy. And again, no, that's not the vibe of this podcast. We want to talk about faith, and we want to talk about faith, here as Christians. But, our aim is not to be, overly churchy, nor to be exclusive in terms of who we reach out to. So those are my thoughts. What y'all think?
Yeah.
I agree. In a nutshell, I think we're basically staying at that fine line between being solely Christian and solely worldly. I think we're really a podcast to blend the best of both worlds, because we're going to discuss all types of topics, and we're going to challenge the status quo of so many thoughts. I think
exactly.
in a sense we will address Christianity and faith, but we'll also dive into a lot of worldly topics, just really sticking at that fine line. But at the end of the day, we are Christians.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when I was creating, putting us on iTunes, which I am so excited about, I've looked at our show page. iTunes,
Get your Apple.
I've looked at our show page on iTunes 50 million times. I'm just so excited about it. But when I was they have to ask you what kind of category we're in, and I didn't put us in the category of Christianity or spirituality. That was actually our second category. Our first category was society and culture. And the reason why I chose that is because, as Bobby said, yes, we are Christians, and yes, we do believe in Jesus Christ. However, we aren't necessarily totally for the Christian audience, because there will be times where we talk about what the church isn't doing, right? We'll talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. And, to be honest, yeah, I'm Christ-like, but to say Christian, that puts a connotation of churchy, that puts in a connotation of, religious, and, you know what I'm saying? And I don't want to put us in that box, and I don't think that we should put ourselves in that box. Definitely Jesus didn't.
Right. A podcast for the people, and we just happen to be Christians.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's good.
There you go.
Yeah, that's exactly Lecrae's whole thing about being called a gospel rapper. He's like, nah, I'm just a rapper who just so happens to be a Christian.
Right.
I'm no different than any other rapper, except I rap from a place of where I've come from, what's so important to me, my priorities, which is obviously going to be my faith in Jesus. Right. So definitely. Me personally, when I hear that, I'm the one that says immediately yes, it's Christian, and that's definitely Christian, because I want to be a part of that group that redefines what that even means. And so you have a lot of things where people don't like to be labeled a Christian. No, don't call me Christian, I'm just spiritual. It's no, I want to be called a Christian. I want you to say that, Ryan Davis is a Christian, and so I can redefine what that means. And I think that, this podcast can do a lot of that, because when you hear Christianity and you think about the typical Christian, I don't think that Last Disciples consist of those things. I think that, we have a holistic viewpoint of both the sacred and the secular, and the importance of it being joint. And it's not the sacred and the secular versus each other, but rather they're together as one. Right. And so what does that even look like? And I think that when you hear Christian, they instantly think, well, the secular is bad
Right.
and
Right.
the sacred is good. And when you do that, you get the, holiness. And I mean, I grew up Pentecostal, so I know holiness is right. But when I say holiness, like the zeal is so great that it's not of like benefit for those who don't necessarily understand church or even really agree with the flow and structure of church today. So we out here redefining things.
I mean, like, I love the saying that goes, how can you be so heavily minded when you're in the earthly good? And I think for us, we're not only worried about the eternal world, but we're trying to take care of the present world and not make it as it is. And I think for me, yes, I'm a Christian. And everybody asks me, absolutely. But the way in which a Christian is defined, which is in a very, very, very tight box. A box that is been called judgmental, a box that has been called traditional and inundated. That kind of Christian I'm not, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a really good question to ask. And I hope that, whoever is listening, Christian or not, you'll feel us and you'll definitely come back and listen.
Right. I agree.
Definitely.
I feel like we're bridging the gap, removing all of the stereotypes and negative stigmas and all of that extra stuff that goes into Christian politics, as we know.
Christian politics.
That's real.
That's a whole nother podcast.
That is. That's another. Another letter.
This question is a loaded one because you
is.
can really talk about it in so many different ways. And when you kind of break it down and you ask questions like, well, define Christianity. Like define what does it mean to be a Christian and what does that look like? I mean, it can get pretty specific. And I would love to, take that question and then maybe even address that as part of, one of the heart of the matters in our core conversation, because I think it's a really good one and a prevalent one, because you have a lot of people who label themselves as Christians. So naming is like very popular, but it's buzzwords. What does it even mean? And I think that's kind of when people say, are you a Christian podcast? Sometimes I don't even know what they mean. Like, what do you mean? Like, are we who we are? Because we're all Christians. We believe that's a Christian podcast. We think that, we're free and able to talk about many different things. And, like I was saying about the sacred and the secular combined, or are you saying, are you a Christian podcast as a way to put us in that box? Or in a sense, a little bit of a negative way, like, is this a Christian podcast? I don't want to listen to that because what can you all say that I haven't already heard?
Right.
Christianity is very redundant. And so people might put that into a box of like, basically, are you all just going to preach to me about all this stuff I can't do? Is that what this podcast is about? Because I already know that. I need something new. And I think that it can, in a way, be a negative thing if depending on the person's experience who's asking the question. I really kind of even know. Like one time I was like, so excuse me, what exactly you mean? Say more. I couldn't even like really just jump out and answer the question because I didn't know from what experience they're kind of asking from, or standpoint they're kind of asking from. But yeah.
Yeah, that begs the question: is Christianity the religion of no? Like, that's a real question.
Yeah,
it is a real question.
Yeah, we'll have to unpack at some point.
Oh yeah, you got to unpack that.
Got to check your baggage.
I say, it's too liberating for it to be a religion of no. You know what I mean? It's too like, I feel too free to be like confined to a small space or a system. It's like, I think Christianity is really the only way to really explore in a safe space, So yeah, but definitely, I mean, I grew up especially in middle school and even high school with that type of mentality or thought process that Christianity is just a bunch of things that I should not do. In fact, I remember freshman year of college, I lie to you not, I was reading my Bible with the hopes of like figuring out all the things I shouldn't be doing, like not better understanding like Christ and the character of Christ, but like just what should I not be doing right now in my life. But man, is that so wrong? Is that so wrong?
Yeah, and I mean, and again, we can probably go into a whole nother level of this at some point, the heart of the matter topic. But I mean, I'm with you there in the sense, Rye, of just the way that so many expressions of Christianity are oriented towards kind of not doing instead of doing, of refraining instead of experiencing. And
That's Bobby.
so, hopefully we can dive into that more because, again, this is what's out there, and we need to tackle it.
Just a quick point. That reminds me, Bobby, of the website I went to for a school, a frequently asked questions page that kept saying no. I don't think I ever told y'all about this.
No. I don't know this one. I don't know this one.
So at one point, I was considering higher education. And I went to this page, this frequently asked questions page for a school to find out information. And every answer to the question was no. It was like, can I cross-register? No.
No.
Can I come to class late? No. Can I breathe? No.
Oh man, but
everything was no, and that turned me off to the school. I was like, I read like
good.
3 or 4 questions, and I was like, okay,
good.
I'm done because you ain't saying nothing I can do, but everything you're telling me is what I can't do. And if that's what the culture of this school is about, I'm out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that reminded
that's
me
real.
of that. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
I would have been out. I would have dipped. Y'all wouldn't have seen me at chapel no more if that was my interpretation.
Right.
That's deep. We got to unpack that some more later. Those are good questions.
Very good questions. Keep it coming, y'all.
Keep it coming. Bobby, why don't you take it away?
Yeah. So again, thank you all for these live letters. We want to hear from you. So if you have any questions or big ideas you want us to talk about, please hit us up at The Last Disciples. That's THEE, lastdisciples@gmail.com, or inbox us a note on Facebook at The Last Disciples. Okay. So now we're going to go a little deeper in our conversation for a segment that we call The Heart of the Matter.
My favorite.
Heart of the matter.
My favorite. My favorite.
Lately I've been soul searching, looking for my purpose. I believe if you believe, we can't dilute the service.
All right, y'all. So we got the heart of the matter, where we talk about something important happening in religion, pop culture, or life experiences. We'll go in depth on the topic, and then we'll look for how to find the good life in the midst of it all. For today, our heart of the matter topic is Know You Better. We will ask some questions and respond so you can get to know us a bit more. So let's get into it, all right? Let's get it off. Let's go, Ryan.
Yeah. So how did we meet? I think this is a great way to kind of talk about when you think about the Good Life podcast and us as a group, the Last Disciples. Like, how did we get to this point? And so, can someone help us to just jump off with that? Is like, why do we know each other? Why are you my peoples?
I think
Jaleesa
got this.
Man.
Take it away.
Well, in West Philadelphia, born and raised. Okay, so for me, to me, our meeting was definitely divine. It was a divine intervention. I went to Clark Atlanta University, CAU, all day.
Woo.
We put the CAU in the AUC, so shout out to y'all. Go Panthers. So I was at Clark Atlanta. I'm in college, and at the time, I had a faith-based organization that was really growing at the time. But something real tragic happened on campus, and a young lady, actually a Spelmanite, was shot on Clark Atlanta's campus, and it was real crazy. And so they actually asked all of the faith-based leaders around the AUC to lead prayer at a prayer vigil, and I did, and kind of word spread, and simultaneously we had a new chaplain at Clark Atlanta, Reverend Dr. Valerie Tate Everett. Shout out to her.
Shout
and
out.
She,
What's up, Doc?
What's up, Doc? What's up? And so we ended up having a meeting, and she was like, Jaleesa, I want you to pray at Sunday service, because a lot of kids will probably be there. And she was right. That was her first Sunday too, so it was like packed. So Davidge, we all know Davidge.
Oh yeah.
Davidge aka Chapel. It sits about 800 folks. It was like 800 students in there, and so I had to pray, and it went over really, really well. And I don't know how it happened, but I became a chaplain assistant. And
She recruited you. If you don't remember, she recruited you.
Yeah,
Doc is the recruiter of the century.
Of the century. And
Yes.
before you know it, you already said yes, and you didn't even know you said yes. But at that time, Eric became a chaplain assistant.
Yep.
And so it was just Doc, Eric, and I. And we had to literally orchestrate chapel by ourselves. And we heard that there was this guy named Bobby, who was like the chaplain assistant extraordinaire that was supposed to be with us, but he was, being fancy and studying abroad in Egypt, which he'll get to in a minute. So it was just me and Eric, and then, me and Eric, right? We made it happen.
Yes.
And then, Ryan came up, and, but it was so crazy because Doc told us, I really want, to expand our ministry and have Spelman students and Morehouse students be a part of our worship service or our department. And me and Eric didn't really know how that was going to happen, but we didn't have to look too much longer because this dude comes in. At the time, he had hair.
Fuck you do that.
And he was like, I want to be an usher. And he wasn't an usher for too much longer.
Yeah.
I was actually never an usher.
No.
I told Doc, I was like, I would like to be an usher. That's what I did at my home church. Anything I can do to serve and help. And when she heard serve and help and anything I can do, she said, "Oh, that sounds like
a chaplain assistant."
I don't even know. I thought it sounded like an usher.
I
But
thought so too.
I personally thought it sounded like an usher. So I come into the meeting and I'm like, wow, we don't have a lot of ushers. It's only like 2 or 3, 4 people at max. And then Doc says, chaplain assistant meeting.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, my bad. I need to go to another room. This ain't the usher board. But she said that, this is where she wanted me. And shout out to so I represent Morehouse of the AUC pod
house?
that we have of the Last Disciples. And Spellman's sister Jocelyn's not here, but she completes the circle as a Spellman part. And so Jocelyn and I actually went to the first Bible study, and we were in the same group at Bible study. And I didn't even know she went to Spellman at the time. And so I was just, thinking like, hey, I like, CAU Chapel, everything's going on here. It's great. And then I'll never forget the week before the first semester was over, she calls myself and Jocelyn to the stage. And I'm just like, dang, I should be getting crazy love. I was still thinking I was about to be an usher at that time because the meeting was until after we came back from breaks. I was like, dang, I appreciate her, more than I, really received as an usher anywhere else. And so Jocelyn and I came and then it just kicked off from there. And then, Bobby, you came back after that semester. So right when that what year was that? That was the second semester of
that was 09.
09?
2000. No. 2010.
That was 10?
Well, I came back in 2010.
Oh, you came back in 2010, but
Right.
I joined fall 09.
Right. That's
Yeah,
what I'm
exactly.
saying.
Yes.
So this group really started in fall 2009. So.
Yep. At CAU.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so when I came back, it was like, oh man, like y'all had it rolling. I was really grateful because, with previous chaplain, we'd had a team too, but I don't think we had as many as we did with Dr. Everett. So it was excited to see so many folk to be a part, and you know, the Holy Spirit was just moving in amazing ways, and people were just coming, and the ministry was growing. So, and you know, I mean, kicking it with y'all and our friendship became such a big part of that for me, you know, and our bond. And so it's been a blessing. So yeah, I think really, yeah, I came back into it in, you know, spring 2010, and kind of grew from there.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and then after that, like, we had long chats and kickbacks, and that's really
right
at
what
College Town.
solidified.
Yes,
Yeah.
in College Town. Yes.
Right.
We had our time to turn up, our Bible studies. We learned each other, man. We gave each other opportunity to really learn each other. You know, I remember us talking about our same struggles and our same things that we had an issue with, and also talking about our mutual joy. So we were like, we were real friends, and we still are, obviously.
Yeah.
I learned so much just as a person with y'all, because, you know, like what we're like, you mentioned it, the duality of like the spiritual and the secular. Like, we were living that in college, right? Like, college is such a place where woo, you know what I'm saying? Like,
man,
it gets like it gets real in those streets, you know what I'm saying? But we were such a strong core of folks that held each other accountable, and actually was intentional about spending time together. And because I think we understood, we might not have said it out loud, but I think we understood that in order to affect those students every Sunday and pray for them, they had to understand, or we had to have a bond ourselves, you know what I'm saying? We had to understand each other's, you know, gifts and talents and weaknesses and strengths and all that. And I'm so grateful for that.
I mean, where there are two or three, there he is, and it started with two.
See, I was gonna go there. Yeah. It started with two. You know, we devoted ourselves to the fellowship. So.
Yeah, man.
And when Jaleesa said at the beginning that it was divine purpose, the reason why I connect with that so much and just like, you know, wholeheartedly agree is because and you all speak on this, if it's the same for you, and I think it is, but you all came at a point in my life, not even just spiritually, where I needed you all the most. And what I mean by that is I just recently, I didn't know it at the time, but I was recently coming out of a cult. And I didn't know it was a cult at the time.
Oh,
you don't
I
really
remember
think.
this.
Yeah, you don't really think it is when you're in it. You just be like, they ain't no Kool-Aid, so this ain't a cult. But a cult comes in so many different ways.
Yeah, that's right.
And it was just teachings that were so strict. I mean, the one that always baffles me is that you are not going to heaven unless you have been baptized in their church. And so I had been baptized before. But they were like, you need to be rebaptized because that baptism was not valid because it was not in their church.
Time out.
Yeah. And it sounds crazy, but when you're in it, the reason why I connected with them so well is because I never seen such a group of people so dedicated to just doing whatever they can to please God and Christ as they defined it. And so the way that they defined it was rather crazy, but I'll always respect how committed they were to that definition of what it means to be a follower of Christ. And so when I saw that, freshman year of college, I was like, I got me some new friends like that love God, keep me accountable. And I ran towards it, and I was broken because I was not solid scripture in the word. And so just after that, man, that summer, I had, because 2009 was sophomore year. For that summer, I had read the whole New Testament, and I was coming back like, boom, I'm ready and to serve and help out. Let me be an usher. It didn't happen. And then when I met you all like, it was like a relationship. When you've been hurt, you need someone to be really amazing when you meet them. And you all were just so amazing in terms of like, how you shared your thoughts, how you shared your beliefs, how we could just like kick it, how if I said something you all didn't disagree with, it wasn't a time for you to gang up on me, but just to love on me and talk about it. And it came in such an important time. And I remember Jocelyn, man, me and Jocelyn, with Jocelyn, I had a kind of similar experience, a little different, their nuances, but similar. And we would just be outside of chapel afterwards, just talking for like 3 or 4 hours. And man, I was so uplifted after those conversations, man. Those conversations were so priceless.
Yeah.
So thankful that, we were able to bond in that moment, and the conversations we had at my house and the kickbacks, man. So that was the divine, because who I am today spiritually and how I recovered from that. You all were my little rehab team.
Oh, thanks, man.
Wow, that's crazy. You just never know.
You just right.
You never know, man.
You never know.
Yeah. We had a good time. I think about the times where we did have those kickbacks, and
oh yeah,
yes indeed, and but we had fun. Like we had so much fun, but like we were on church. We had church on Sunday, right?
Right.
And like participating, even though we were dog tired. But and that was a thing of that balance. And for me, chapel and meeting you guys were divine in the sense of, when I created Driven Student Organization, that student organization that I had at Clark, I didn't want it to be church so much because I understood how the church can really turn people away, and people can kind of turn their nose up to church. And I think I was telling Bobby the other day, we were talking about it, and I was like, about 80% of my members were not churched, didn't know God. And so becoming a chaplain assistant required me to do church ministry. And you see, I didn't say ministry because ministry is not defined to the church, but it required me to do ministry in the church. And I'm thankful for that because my heart softened again towards church ministry, and to see that it can be effective, it can be real, it can be fun again. Yeah. And so I will always, be thankful for that. You know what I'm saying? Especially like dope people to do ministry with, and that we're just like young and dope, and we could talk and we could joke, and we'll be joking in the middle of service, middle of service. All you see is our shoulders front row. All you see is our shoulders going up and down, laughing like in tears. We got so many funny stories for our listeners, I swear to God.
Oh yes.
Oh my goodness.
If you believe in the power of prayer.
Pray, saints, pray.
Yeah,
we'll have to let you on.
Yeah, we gotta
on that.
let you on that at a time.
But that's a classic.
That was divine intervention for me, and I will always be so thankful and grateful for that. And look where we are now.
Yeah, look where
started from the bottom. Now we here.
Yeah, you're not kidding. Yeah, for me, I definitely see God's hand in it, in bringing and calling us together at such a time as it was. I think for me, just the realness of our friendships and our relationships is what blessed me the most. Because, for me, where I was, that was coming back junior year. That sophomore year was the beginning of sophomore year, is where I had really accepted, God's call on my life towards ministry. And so getting some guidance from my family, that's how I got connected to chapel, which was, me wanting to serve in ministry and kind of get a feel, okay, so what does this ministry thing feel like? And so, I had an awesome experience that sophomore year. And so coming back, not only was it important for me to get back into serving after I had been abroad and start to get reintegrated and start to put all these new pieces of what I've been learning about people and culture and language and faith into practice in ministry, but also having some more great people to do it with. And having fellowship, like you said, people who are dope, who are creative, who are sincere about their faith in Christ, but who are also, fun loving and who can kick it and who can, I remember we used to break bread so much. We used to go to folks' houses. I don't know if that was your house, Eric, and Heritage, or I remember us going down to this pizza place one time. Like, I remember us eating a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
God taking us out to eat, and just that piece was so special for me, to help me have that support group of friends who I can kick it with, but who I could also be accountable to. And know that they were serious about their walk too, and that we were journeying together. Because I think you kind of alluded to it earlier, Swanks, is that, and for our listeners, Swanks is what I call Jaleesa. There's a chapel story behind that too. So for in any type of ministry with young people, what really makes a difference is the fact that you can see people who are your peers living the life that they claim they live. And when you see that, it inspires people. And so to have that, amongst each other, to know that we were really making a difference through our ministry was really, really exciting.
Yeah, you guys really came in at the perfect time of my life, because I didn't always grow up in the church. I knew who God was, and I knew all about it, but I was always like, I don't want to be a church boy. I'm trying to be about that life. And that life, meaning everything outside of Christianity. But you guys really helped me find myself in my walk with Christ, because so many people get so caught up on, I got to live right, I got to do this the way this says, or Christianity is just this one ball, only one way to do so many one thing. You guys helped me kind of like grow into who I was as a believer. And most of my core memories come not just in chapel, but outside of chapel. Like, I still have postcards from when Bobby was in Egypt. I remember Jaleesa and I think that was our final year. We had spent the summer at Heritage, and you wrote on my wall, "We're going to make millions."
Oh, yeah.
I remember that. I remember that. Me and Ryan have, it's true. Me and Ryan have like such a wonderful friendship. Every football season, we know that we're going to be in constant battle, because he's a Redskins fan and I'm a Giants fan, and his best friend is also a Giants fan. But it's those small things that created the bond. And with Jocelyn, even though she's not here, I remember we'd be spending hours in the room talking about any and everything. And I remember one night we got a deeper understanding of each other's struggle, so we kept each other accountable with that. So you guys like really just came in at the perfect time, and you guys knew all the stuff that I was doing when I was in college. You kind of just helped me turn around, get my life together, lead a Jezebels alone. I gotta say it, because I just you never know who's listening. Unless I'm not trying to sound holier than I was.
No, for real though.
I was in the world. If there was a girl that I like and I wanted it, 9 times out of 10 I got her. So these guys, you really helped me just like find the right way, find the right path. But it was really that because I was always flaky. I was always flaky in my walk. I said, today I want to be hot, and then other days I'm like, I just want to be cold. I don't know who God is, but you guys really helped me find that fire and stick to it.
Amen. That's awesome.
And for me, we're all talking about something that's so important to like life, not the spirit, just the spiritual journey, but life. And that's just having like conversations with good people. Like that's something that really changes your life. We can talk about spiritual things. We can talk about music. We can talk about sports. We can talk about education, politics, all of that. And that's why I love the college, but HBCUs specifically, because it's really a pot of like-minded, minority Black people just coming together who can really. I never connected with people. I see you, Bobby. Black Lives Matter. I never connected with. I never connected with people so much until like coming to college, coming to Morehouse and meeting other Morehouse men and Spelman women and CAU fam. It was definitely amazing. And so just, people listening, like definitely be intentional about conversations. Like don't be scared to like just bring up something with your friends or, try to, people you cool with in the community or whatever, instead of just the same old type of conversations, because that's not how we grow as people. It's the intentional, really specific conversations about real stuff that kind of changes things, and it was just such a blessing, to have you all, as part of that, and just to be fun, and not to be too well, let's talk about what scripture we read last night, but just yeah. What scripture? I didn't read.
Just like that, right?
What scripture, right?
I didn't read. My fault.
What verse was that?
I'm trying to find my Bible now.
I would.
Go ahead.
I was turning water into wine. Hallelujah.
Oh my God. Yeah, but you know what though, Ryan? Like that's why we also created this podcast, is because, you know, when we really talk about, you know, creating a safe space where people can, you know, speak freely, think critically, and what's the other one?
Live
Live
authentic.
You know, that one
authentically.
too. Like that is what we're trying to do. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause that's who we are as people. And so, you know, I think if we had more people understood that they can do that, they can speak freely, they can think critically, they can live authentically, you know, maybe we can possibly walk and have better purpose-filled lives, you know, and not be in shame or not think about things that are trivial, but, you know, be who exactly who God has created us to be.
Mm-hmm.
That live authentically one is just so powerful for me. Like, you know, just being yourself, like just being yourself and the power of that, and just understanding when you're authentic, you better understand yourself because you can fake your own self, you know, and then into thinking things that just aren't there, you know. And when you live authentically, that self-awareness, oh my goodness, and Jocelyn talks about that so well, just understanding self and loving on self and what that means. Jocelyn, aka our Christian hippie, and yeah, it's just, you all definitely helped me to understand it, and I think that's great. I mean, great, Jaleesa, just leading us into that, and why it's just the conversations we had. We're trying to put them on a platform that those who may not have the friendship can just like join us for an hour or two, you know, every month, and be a part of it. Send in those live letters, you know, hear what we have to say, you know, and partake, because it definitely is a life changing or more. And again, more on less religious than people think, but it really just on like college was more fun. Like, you know what I mean? With you
It
all,
was.
college was just more fun. Like it was a good time for real.
Indeed. I could just think back. I know homecoming is coming up.
Oh.
Yeah.
Homecoming's together this year, right?
Homecoming is together this year. AUC homecoming. It's going down.
Nobody's cell phone's gonna work.
Live.
Once you step on that AUC, the next text message you will receive is at the hotel.
Right,
like,
that's it.
Basically.
Man, I had the worst service.
Too many people in one. Yeah. I never even knew that could happen until I went to a Spell House CAU homecoming. Like,
is that like a blackout?
Is it an acronym or a hashtag? Bless me.
I remember. I stumbled all the way across the promenade. I think I met up with Ryan in Morehouse with a bottle in my hand or something. I don't remember what it was, but it was something. I think it was orange juice and orange juice and something else.
If you can remember that, man.
When I tell you, I was like walking around. It's because I've never been to Morehouse's tailgate. All my years of college, I was Clark Atlanta. That's where I'm gonna go. Whatever, spend my time. That was a movie. When I tell you, it was like Hangover times 10. Like it was like people literally like just sitting there, eyes closed. Zombies. Like, and I'm like, are they okay? And they friends are like a little off in a distance, like kind of checking them every now and then, but still turning up. And I'm like, bruh, you okay? Like one person, I was like, bruh. He was like, turn up. I was like,
yeah.
I was in tears. I said, okay.
That's hilarious.
That's what's up. AUC all day.
AUC all day.
Yeah, it was great. And when I said in the teaser, it is so real in terms of that. Like when I think of the good life and I think of our group, I really do think about like good times, but moderation, like balance. Like when you talk about the spiritual journey, there has to be balance. It's like an appetite. You can't always eat vegetables or you'll go insane. But if you can get a little bit of cake in there sometimes, get a little pizza in there sometimes, some sugar, you know, you're going to live a good life. But if you only eat the pizza and the sugar, boy, what it would do to your health, and like that moderation, that balance, boy, that we learned that well. We had some failures. But we definitely were dedicated to what it means to be, you know, balanced and holistic in our lives and the spiritual journeys, for sure.
I mean, And
Oh my bad.
Yeah.
I was gonna say shout out to Dr. Green, Dr. Val, Dr. Everett, Doc, who really
Doc,
helped
yes.
us.
We love you, Doc.
Helped us in that because she never told us not to have fun. Like she
That's
never
real.
restricted us and said
That's real.
you
Yeah.
can't. She was always you can, but be
can.
mindful. She always tried to make sure that we had that self-control and that ability to monitor what was good and what was bad, and that was so key, at least in my walk. Go ahead, Eric.
I agree. I was actually just gonna chime back when Ryan's talking about living authentically, talking about the different types of food. Like it's healthier for you to live authentically because if you're not living authentically, all you're doing is living a processed life. And if your life is processed, is it really real at that point? Is there any real value in a processed life? I mean, there's no value in a processed life. So the only way to live is really authentically be you and only you, or else you're just an imitation or fake or phony or all those other words that describe that type of living.
Put the organ yourself, bro.
Not.
Yeah,
That's a word.
I be gonna preach that. One thing we've yet to say that's so dope, that's so cool. One thing we've yet to say is none of us really feel the call or really like about doing ministry full time in the traditional sense. Like me, like I was business. People swore I was a religion major at Morehouse. I was really business. My spiritual walk was so important that it seemed like it was religion, but it was business. I was trying to go on and work in marketing and do stuff, and did that. Worked in a startup for a little bit. Now I work in a school as a director, and ministry to me is always something that is a part of your life, but doesn't necessarily have to be your job, and it was just it's so cool that like we all take the call of Christ so seriously, but yet we understand it can be real in other ways than ministry full time, which is so tight. Yeah,
because for me, I was a communications major in undergrad, but then I got my master's in public administration and I did a concentration in nonprofit management. But I come to realize that like I do ministry every day at my job. I manage community outreach programs for a Performing Arts Foundation. And every day, if I'm giving grants to high school teachers every year, if I'm putting on a children's concert for underprivileged children who wouldn't otherwise see a performance, like that's still ministry, right? I might not be in a church, but I am giving, or I'm giving an opportunity to folks that wouldn't otherwise be able to have an opportunity to do something. And so I'm still living authentically, still doing God's work, but not necessarily in a traditional sense.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm a social worker, and I really think social work is basically all religions are basically social work, charities, doing different things, or whatever your focal group is, whatever your target population is. You're ministering to your people in whatever way it is possible. So coming into school as a music major and then switching to social work, I found a way to integrate that both in my life and in ministry. And I think social work itself is ministry. It's hard work too.
Yeah, that's real. Well, Dag, that was definitely some good stuff y'all were saying, man. I always enjoy just hearing from you all. But Eric, if you can just, take us away onto the next.
On to the next. That's my jam. So we've definitely spent a lot of time thinking about some old memories, thinking about how we've come to know each other, and just thinking about why we love each other and why we're such good friends. But the main question is, where do you see the good life in our friendship?
Just the love, just the joy, the way that our relationships stem from a collective calling, from God on our lives, and how we live that out in such awesome and fun and relevant ways, living in the purpose, living in the joy, living into our calling. All those things I think are a big part of the good life that, kind of show up in our friendships for me.
I think one of the biggest things for me is when we say living free, my undergrad, I was definitely living free, but you guys really helped me find the balance in living free. As I always go back to, is that balance piece. that's where I really find the good life most in our friendship is the balance mainly. And as we talk about everything, and even in the Christian walk, balance is important. So that's where I see the good life, mainly looking at that balance piece.
For me, I would say the word that comes to mind is longevity, the longevity of our friendship and how we've seen it mature over the years. And it's just been so wonderful. I mean, from not knowing each other for almost all kind of being recruited from Dr. Val to now doing this podcast is just amazing. So just that longevity and maturity of our friendship has just been so beautiful to watch. And I'm just excited to see what else is in store for us.
Amen. Def.
That's right.
I think that's it for our first episode of The Good Life, y'all. We did it. We did it.
I can't believe
Hey, episode 1, season 1.
We did it. We did it.
Ho Bashada.
But before we go, we're going to end this podcast with the question every month. What is good in your life this week?
What is good? Well, 2 things. One, so I work at a after school program in Queens, director program there, and I'm just really excited for like some of the creative stuff that like the kids are going to be planning soon. What else is good going on? A good but stressful is, you know, just continue studying the GMAT. You know, it's like to be in a position to study for that and have that as a potential is definitely, you know, living the good life. So pray for me.
Definitely will pray for you on that, bro. For me, a couple things too. One is, kind of with talking about kids and the youth. I've really recently started to have more time with my youth. And so I've been hanging out with the youth more and just kind of getting to know them has been really great. And kind of getting to hang out and getting to know them and their experiences and seeing their personalities and kind of getting to know them. That's been great. 2, just been a lot of favor going on around me. God is just up to some good stuff.
Send it over here.
To favor and glory. I'm sending it through. Just a lot of affirmation and just good words being spoken about me.
What's good in my life other than just having life this week? I will have to say I got an opportunity to kind of up the ante on my community civic leadership life. And I just became an official board member for a pretty large nonprofit.
Nice.
So God is so good. So yeah, that's what's good in my life this week.
All right.
Yes,
I will be stepping in the role of president of the young adult chapter at my church finally.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I accepted that. But what's really good in my life is that I have my sisters turning 10. My aunt has a birthday, and my mom they all have a birthday this week. So I have a sister, aunt, and my mom's birthday this week. So that's really exciting. All right, it's been good chatting with you all. Don't forget to check us out on the web. You can subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, and SoundCloud at www.soundcloud.com/lastdisciples. Also, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Last Disciples. Be sure to use hashtag GoodLife, G00Life. Use hashtag Last Disciples. Hit us up. We're definitely friendly. Email us, inbox us. We'll get back to you. And we're out. See you next month.